Hello, hello. Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah, I did.
All right,
Uh,
Leo. Now, why did you vote for the worst president of your life, Mr. Donald J. Trump?
before I start, I just want to say with both Parker and you, I think what y'all are doing with bringing politics to the younger generation is great, whether it's left wing or right wing. But with why I voted for Donald Trump, I'm 23, so I'm kind of just now dipping my feet more and more into politics. But over the last administration and their 4 years, I don't really necessarily think that they were doing things for the people of the United States, but more so doing things for the people of other countries. Um, and I think that that's just not a good way to go about things when we have homeless, like a homeless epidemic. We have a lot of problems in our own country, and I'd rather see a president work for our people rather than the interest of other foreign countries.
Yeah. So Leo, can I ask you a question? Can you name one policy supported by Republicans and or Trump that is going to reduce homelessness or poverty?
So I can't name the policies by their actual name, no. But I can say this. I think when you stop the regulations on these big American corporations, it has a trickle effect. So if we stop the regulations of some of the workspaces that we
Italy,
need
thank you for the $5.
in order to comply with whoever it is that's in charge of making workspaces, I guess, more safe.
So
If
you
we,
want to
if,
make workspaces less safe by restricting
it,
regulations on
Yeah,
that?
get rid of OSHA, right?
no, no, not. I work construction. I own a landscape and an irrigation company. So no, nothing like that. But
Well, those are
I guess for
regulations.
I think if we lifted up how difficult it is to have a major corporation in the United States,
Like what
maybe not how
regulations do you want to
difficult.
limit?
Cora, thank you for the
That
gas
isn't
station.
something that I'm well educated in. But what I'm basically what I'm trying to say is if we make it easier for the corporations to make more money, then that makes it easier for the
Wait,
consumer.
So make it better for corporations is somehow gonna go help homeless people?
okay.
So
Please,
I kind of
you're not making any sense. I'm asking you, like, can you name one policy that Donald Trump or Republicans supported that reduces homelessness and or poverty? Neither of those things help homelessness and or poverty.
I kind of think of it like this. If if we can pay people to manufacture cars in the United States, that one is keeping money in our states, in our country, right? So instead of having
Does he know the question I asked him? I'm confused.
Okay,
I'm sorry, repeat it.
so once again, the question Parker's asking you is seriously, just name one fucking Trump policy that will reduce homelessness or poverty.
Okay, so I'm not, like I said, I'm not very
Okay, you
in
don't know
tune with
one.
this.
Okay, listen.
No,
You don't
no.
know.
I'll say like what's going on right now
Dude, what's
Dude.
going on today,
with
Dean?
dollars, and the corporation is coming to the
Okay,
United States in
Leo,
Arizona
Leo,
to build a
Leo,
chip
Leo,
factory
Leo, Leo,
in
Leo,
the
Leo,
United
Leo,
States in
Leo,
Arizona.
Leo. Okay, you're talking about a chip factory being
Yeah,
built in Arizona,
I,
right?
correct.
All right. Do you know what caused that?
Right. No, please inform me. Like I really
But
genuinely just
okay,
want to
then
be
let me inform
educated.
you. Oh yeah, of course, man. Biden's Chips and Science Act. So Biden and Harris, okay, they got a law through Congress and signed it into law to specifically subsidize chip producers in America, so we can go from producing 1% of the global chip supply to 30. So thank Biden and Harris for that. Now, secondarily, Donald Trump has no policy to benefit low income, homeless, or Americans in poverty. Zero. Nada. Null. None. In fact, when we factor the impact of his tariffs into account, every American making under $395,000 per year is actually hurt by his economic policy. So when you tell me that you don't support Biden or Harris because they were too focused on spending money elsewhere when there's a lot of issues at home to deal with, like homelessness or poverty, so therefore you vote for the guy that's actively going to hurt Americans in homelessness and poverty, is very contradictory, is very hypocritical, and is very sad, right? Harris,
Well,
she had tax cuts
keep on.
for 100 million American workers in the low and middle class, meaning that she was going to reinvest right back into the average American while building out more social safety nets to help low income Americans in poverty. Okay? That was the focus on the people that need it the most. and you voted against it.
So I like I said, I own a landscaping and irrigation company, and under the Biden-Harris administration, we were getting killed with, like, for example, and I know this has a lot more factors than just the administration itself, but the prices of gas, the prices of wood, the prices of material, everything was up.
Yeah,
Now
how
that
do they
has a
cause
lot
it
of
to go up? Let's start
Yeah.
there.
I'd assume when we're spending
Assume.
$350 billion in Ukraine,
That's
we have
not
to
how much
make
we
up.
gave to Ukraine. That's a completely made up number.
Okay, what's the correct number? And like I said,
110
I'm
to
more so
175 billion.
wanting to
So,
learn.
of course, man. So your argument is, well, the Biden-Harris administration spent money and that caused inflation, right?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. If we're giving
Perfect.
our tax dollars to another country,
Perfect.
we're not seeing that money return.
So Donald Trump spent twice as much money compared to the Biden-Harris administration during his first 4 years. And the biggest expense under his admin, his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, literally saw no return. It only increased government revenues by $6 billion a year while costing $1.9 trillion. So
And
this
also the money
means
we
that-
go
ahead.
ahead. I was gonna say the money we also gave to Ukraine, they had to spend it on American defense contractors. And
Okay.
manufacturers.
So I'm not well versed in that, but that does make sense to me. My thing is if it's 350 billion, if it's 100 billion, if it's $100,
Can you respond to what I just said?
what did you have a question in that?
No,
Or
I had,
I
I had
thought
a
you were just
statement.
making a
Donald Trump
statement.
spent twice as much as the Biden-Harris administration. So if government expenditure causes
In
inflation,
what-
Donald Trump
in-
is twice as inflationary than Biden and Harris.
Okay. Are you talking Donald Trump spent more money in Ukraine or Donald Trump spent more money in total?
In total.
No debt-related spending signed into law.
Okay, so I don't really think that's a fair point to make considering COVID-19 started under
Even if you take into
Trump's-
account non-COVID related spending.
Donald Trump in total spent $8.6 trillion. When we account for COVID, he spent $4.8 trillion in non-COVID related expenditure. Biden and Harris in total spent $4.6 trillion. When you account for COVID, they spent $2.2 trillion in non-COVID related expenditure. So regardless, if we do or don't account for the pandemic, Donald Trump still spent twice as much as Biden and Harris.
I don't have those numbers to.
Well, you can. They're from the CRBF, the Committee for
Yeah.
Responsible Federal
I'm sure I
Budget.
could look it up and see that is true. And I'm sure there's multiple reasons for both administrations in spending that much amount of money. My whole thing is
Your whole thing.
I
is
would
off.
rather see the 90,000 factories that we lost over the years because it's so hard to build a company in the United States. The American dream is to have a company, build it to be one of the biggest companies in the world. That's the whole point of
So then
the
you should have
United
voted for
States.
Kamala Harris because she would have made that easier. Do you understand that?
No,
the
I think
stronger
Kamala
social
Harris
safety
would have
nets-
continued a
now,
war.
If you allow me to finish real quick. Boykis, I
Okay,
think,
I'm
is the
sorry.
right
I've been
answer.
allowing that.
So yeah, the stronger social safety nets a country has, the more economic mobility their constituents have. And economic mobility is just simply explaining how easy or hard it is for somebody to scale in the economy and gain a higher net worth. So because Kamala Harris supported more social safety nets and making the conditions better for low and middle like income Americans, it is the case that she would have been better for the quote unquote American dream or allowing individuals to have a greater ability to scale in the economy.
I personally just don't understand how an administration that was pursuing basically World War III would benefit the wealth of the middle class.
Pursuing World War III, you were so totally fucking wrong. What?
How? When we are
Wait,
aiding.
when we are helping a country, right, that is getting ethnically cleansed and invading. And by the way, we've had this contract to help them if they were to get invaded since the 90s, meaning Russia knew about the Budapest Memorandum. Apparently that's starting World War III. But when Donald Trump says he may deploy our military in Greenland and start a war with Europe, ethnically cleanse over 2 million Palestinians off the Gaza Strip, and bow the knee to Putin, meaning that Europe is going to be putting up stronger advances on Russia by literally possibly putting boots on the ground in Ukraine. None of those things start World War III. You are hypocritical, you are spineless, and I need you to stop lying to everybody watching, but most importantly, lying to yourself.
So the name calling stuff is kind of I don't really understand that. I've been nothing but respectful towards you. I'd hope you could keep that same level of respect towards me.
I don't
My
think you
my whole
have,
thing
and I'm sorry for that. I could try to be kinder, but when like the willful dissemination of such ignorant propaganda, like supporting a country that's being ethnically cleansed, was starting World War III, which meant Kamala Harris was not going to help any lower middle income Americans, is what won Donald Trump the election, and what is going to lead or has already led to lower qualities of lives for millions of humans. So it does upset me, and I think it does so justifiably.
So can I just ask, was the Biden administration pushing for Ukraine to join NATO?
I'm unaware
Yes
of
or no?
I'm unaware of their stance on Ukraine joining NATO. I would like to push for Ukraine to be a part of NATO.
So now let me ask you this. Would you be okay if Putin decided to make an alliance with Mexico and start putting Russian military weapons on Mexico or in Mexico?
No, I wouldn't be okay with that.
Okay. So I think that same logic should be able to be applied for the Ukraine-Russian border.
No,
You,
you're
Ukraine
wrong.
and Russia.
I could tell you why you're wrong.
Okay.
Because there's three other countries that border Russia, Lithuania, Lithuania, and Estonia, that all joined NATO, and Russia didn't care. So now the question is, why the fuck would Russia care about Ukraine joining NATO? The answer is going to be so obvious. Are you ready?
Raw minerals?
No, because they wanted to invade Ukraine. That's why. Because Russia wanted to invade Ukraine, and if Ukraine joined NATO, well, then all of a sudden, Article 5 could be invoked given a Russian invasion, and World War III starts. So it's crazy to me that nobody understands this. The only reason why Russia gave pushback against the idea of Ukraine joining NATO is because they were planning a goddamn invasion.
But what is the what do you think Putin's reason is for invading Ukraine?
Because he sees it as a part of the USSR, and he wants to regrow his country to the strength in which it had at one point in history.
But I don't really think that's what Putin's reasoning for invading Ukraine is.
Oh, really? What's his reasoning, Nazi?
Well, like, why do we have to name call? I don't understand that.
We could do without that. I'm sorry. That was bad. Go ahead.
I'm by no means a Nazi in any way.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
I don't understand that though.
I'm sorry. Yes, no, I understand it. Just slipped out. I get it. So just tell me why do you think Putin wants to invade Ukraine?
Because I don't think he wants any type of military force that is strong enough to take over a country like NATO on his border, on his western border, the easiest land to traverse through.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, him invading Ukraine is going to get NATO troops on his western border because now the UK is considering putting boots on the ground. And then second of all, we already have NATO troops on his wait, we already have troops on the western border. I'm pretty sure, like within the other neighboring countries, such as Lithuania, Estonia, and Lithuania. So it is the case that you're wrong. The reason why he invaded Ukraine was because he wants to rebuild the USSR. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that Putin even said this himself, in his interview with Tucker Carlson.
So, and I'll just, because I'm running out.
And Finland. Yeah, and Finland.
Finland joined in 22.
Yeah, but Finland is on their western border. NATO's already.
But you can make the argument with
Russia.
You can make the argument with Finland that Putin doesn't want to I guess attack on two front lines. If that makes sense, he'd rather focus on one. So if I'm a war
and like the eastern border, because what's on the eastern border? Alaska.
Right, but I'm talking the easiest traversable path into Russia is going to be.
Leo, what is your argument? Are you like defending Putin?
No, I'm not.
Do you think that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was justified?
No, I don't think killing.
Okay, so then what are you arguing? What does this have to do with why you support Trump?
Because
we started off by you saying that like you want more social safety nets for low income Americans. Absolutely.
Okay,
Like, why?
you're 100% right.
And
You're
then
100%
I
right.
demonstrated to you how Kamala Harris was much better for low income Americans compared to Donald Trump. And then you said, well, no, they're actually not good for low income Americans because World War III. So then I got like a little bit upset at you for being a fear mongering like propagandist, and somehow now you're
Oh,
like
I don't
justifying Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
I don't think it's fear mongering at all. I think it's reality. But my thing is
Wait, justify,
the one thing
justify,
that's,
justify that. Justify that U.S. supporting Ukraine leads to a higher level of threat for a third world war compared to the U.S. pulling support for Ukraine. Because as far as I'm concerned, right, we were engaging in, the transfer of resources through money and weapons to Ukraine. But now that we've pulled out, Europe is stepping up to the plate and considering deploying troops, boots on the ground in Ukraine. And what do you think is going to lead to a higher threat of Russia attacking a country outside of Ukraine? Money and weapons or boots on the ground?
I guess I'm confused on your question. Are you asking what would make Russia want to
More likely
invade a
to,
country
yeah,
more?
yeah, money and
Okay.
weapons or
I
boots
would
on the
say
ground?
that I would say that if we put American boots in Ukraine soil, then Russia would not want to try to invade.
Okay, sorry, man. I'm gonna kick you because you just didn't even understand or answer my question, and my line is a little bit short with people. Like, please, guys, if you're watching this stream and you voted for Trump, don't try to have conversations about like global politics when you know nothing.